Hello everyone. This is actually a little re-recording because I thought I could make this a little more focused. Because I'm talking about an important word that gets thrown around a lot in a lot of different situations, and that word is rotation. So rotation can mean many things. Some more simple, some more complex. It's the same general concept, which is a player rotating from one place to another. So one of the really simple examples that I can't really elaborate too much on because it's very simple is a flank member rotating over to kind of play a combo role because a combo player is dead, and that dead combo player's role is needed for whatever you're doing. So one really straightforward example could be a pocket soldier ends up sacking in and forcing the other team's medic, and as a team you want to take the point with your ad, but you need a pocket soldier to make space for the combo. So in a case like that, you could have your roamer rotate over and play pocket soldier for the time being for that push. Just simple things like that. Very straightforward, not much to elaborate on, just having a player rotate over to the combo to assist with a combo thing. Another such example is a team rotating from one door to another, or one side of the map to another. Just trying to exploit a particular side of the map. And one such example might be something you see on Snakewater sometimes, where a team, for their pressure into last, will be to bomb players through the left side, and let's say they get a trade on the left side. Let's say they kill a demo, a soldier in a demo trade, right? So generally beneficial team, or beneficial trade for the team that lost the soldier. And let's say because of that, the team that was pressuring and killed that demo wants to pressure further. And a good door to do that could very well be the right side instead of the left side where the demo was. So in a case like that, you might rotate doors to go to a different door and try and take space. Something of that nature. So as a team, you can rotate from one point of the map to the other. I suppose what's happening right now, us pressuring sewer, could be considered a type of rotation. Not really a big one because it's not really out of your way or anything, but So anyway, yeah, rotations. Another example is like a literal rotation on a mid fight. So sometimes teams will play process mid as a rotational mid, Sunshine as well, where teams will be rotating around each other. And that is with the goal of, being able to isolate players that are out of position because they're not, rotating as well with their team. They're not sticking together as a unit, so they become more vulnerable to bombs and focus fire and things of that nature. But the big one that I want to talk about, the big definition or big case for rotation, is rotating spam defensively. So you see a lot of stalemates in 5CP where neither team really has a strong advantage with which they can fully push off of. And in a time like that, it's on usually the attacking team or the team with control of mid to create that advantage, typically by sacking. I have an entire video on pressure. This is just textbook case for pressuring. As an aside, a lot of people do complain about stalemates, and I think it was a lot worse years and years ago, where people would think that 5CP was just an extremely flawed game mode because it was just so stalematey, when a lot of the time and they don't like to hear it, but a lot of the time they're the ones creating the stalemate by not being good at pressuring, or just doing absolutely risk-free options and then being surprised when it doesn't get them anything and doesn't lose them anything. Anyway, all that aside, it is important to have a strong defensive backbone when you're on the back foot in those stalemate situations. And this is created off of the back of your spam classes, right? So in the case of a last hold, of course, a sentry gun will be a linchpin of the hold that prevents a player from being able to bomb in and force your medic and stuff like that. But in general, your spam classes, as in your 2 soldiers in demo, are really, really, really important for playing the spam adequately on really any point when you're defending. And that doesn't mean that the players defending can just kind of hold their door forever, because the attacking team does have some advantages in their favor, right? So I have touched on in other videos or here and there that there's a lot of like intermediate spaces in maps. So, you know, just here on Process, you have mid, you have second. Those are very distinct points. But something like sewer or something like IT or a lobby are more indeterminate, where there's spaces in between these points that at some points one team owns and at other points another team owns. Usually the attacking team, assuming everyone's alive, has the luxury of being able to take those intermediate spaces as they see fit. So a team with, you know, even numbers, even Ubers, stalemate on, let's say, Process second, the team with control of mid can usually take control of sewer or take control of IT as they see fit. Man, where was I? I had a whole train of thought that just got completely derailed. So yeah, you can control those intermediate spaces, and wow, this maybe the next round will jog my memory, because we're talking about rotations, right? Rotating spam, right? So they usually have the resources to overwhelm a door a lot of the time. Now, many doors, particularly doors on last, very much advantage the defendant. It's much easier, or defendant would just be illegal. But, it's much easier in general to defend something with spam than push it with spam. But a team, like one lone soldier in a door, is not going to be able to withstand, you know, multiple players with support of heals, right? That's just not something that can happen long term. Soldiers only have 4 rockets loaded anyway, and even demos only have like so much ammo loaded. So a focused, like pinpointed effort from a team coordinating multiple like spam members or multiple classes can out spam a doorway and force that guy that's holding it off of the doorway, right? So it should be a really simple case of you know, overwhelm that door and then you get to just walk through. But, of course, that's where rotations come in. So as the defenders, and this is like a concept in a lot of like sports and things as well, basically like your guy gets spammed off the door, they can't hold that door anyway, or anymore. And that's where a lot of players are positioned, ready to pressure, ready to get through, etc. So the natural or the logical solution there is to rotate someone else from a different door to the door that's actively being pressured, right? Because sure, like in theory, there's that gives up their door, but you would rather, basically someone is being spammed off, right? So a door is gonna go unheld. You would rather that be a door that's not being actively pressured. You'd rather make that the door that people aren't really at so much. So in the case of Process, for instance, if they come to pressure 5, your soldier 5 can get some damage on them, but won't be able to just stay there and sit there. Will likely have to jump away to either reload or, you know, resupply or something if they've taken damage, stuff like that. And you rotate someone else over to that door so that it's still being held in the meantime, right? So yeah, very, very important concept and just kind of the backbone of holding things in sixes. This is usually something that most demos are familiar with, and if you'll notice as well, most last holds, not all of them, but most last holds have a few similarities. In that you have a very centralized sentry gun that watches a lot of doors and just generally covers a lot of space, which in some sense does act to hold doors, which is very nice. But you also have a very central demo who isn't really hard committed to one door or another, In the case of Process, your central demo is pretty committed to like 3 and 4. That's kind of their door to watch. But in some cases, they don't really have so much of a door. So if you're playing like this a central Sunshine last hold, where you have the gun in front of the point and your demo is like on the floor near your gun, your med's pushed up like that, stuff like that. Your demo doesn't really have a door that they're in charge of there. They are strictly playing to rotate. But a lot of the time as a demo, you are going to be rotating to the door that's getting pressured by the other team's combo, because they are committing their most resources to that door, and you as a demo are the best equipped class to deny pressure. So why not send your best resource to pressure out where they're committing the most, right? So just very simple concept of like a demo rotating doors applies in general. A big backbone to holding anything is soldier communication and soldier coordination as well, because soldiers can really quickly get on and pressure a door and get off of a door. So having soldiers that communicate well and are good about playing rotations makes pressuring into any point, but especially a last point, so much more difficult, and makes your capacity for holding so much better, and as a result you lose fewer rounds and you win more games, right? So everyone's happy. That being said, it's important to understand rotations from not only a defense or defending perspective, but from an attacking perspective as well, because understanding how teams are rotating or how they're failing to rotate gives you weaknesses that you can easily exploit when you're pressuring. So one classic example, if we imagine Gully Wash last, which is a last in which you have a lot of different avenues for pressuring, we can think, the typical hold is a demo holding near shutter, ready to spam shutter or launchpad, a soldier typically around like the pipe or something by launchpad, also assisting in shutter and focusing more on launchpad, and then a soldier playing river. And then of course from there, if the other team tries to pressure any of these doors, everyone's happy, you just play your rotations correctly and it's all good. A very common tactic for teams pressuring into Gully Wash last is to send a player into water, which threatens to cap the point from behind the point. And pretty much the go-to response from the defending team is to jump a soldier on top of the ring above point, with which they can just watch water, and basically the guy water can't do anything because that soldier's there, right? So this rotation does completely shut down the water play, but it does give up a door, because now one entire spam class isn't really in a position to be able to spam anything, at least not any of the important doors that people will be spamming from. So suddenly your pressure is much, much better just because you have a guy in water, even if that guy in water doesn't do anything, right? Even if they're just like peeking the point a little bit just to like get that soldier's attention so he can't do anything. Now suddenly, with combination of pressure from river, launchpad, and shutter, you're guaranteed at least somewhere one of those doors will not be adequately held, because a demo, committed to holding shutter and launchpad can really only adequately spam out one at a time. And yeah, they're basically just down that guy. So you can exploit that rotation with your pressure cook, and as a result, have much more success pressuring into last, spamming guns down, getting forces, damage on the med, all sorts of good stuff. Even cap pressure as well, in some cases, if the guy water can actually end up committing the point. So yeah, just understanding a stalemate in terms of rotation and in terms of, trying to overload a specific point in the map, and exploiting the rotations, exploiting the weaknesses. Just all the same stuff that I talk about when I talk about pressuring, but understanding it in terms of rotation, I think really helps defensively, to understand, how to prevent players from just getting undue amounts of space or from getting advantages that shouldn't otherwise be granted to them. So yeah, I guess that's all I really have to talk about as far as those defensive rotations go. Rotations can mean a lot of things, but I wanted to just focus in on those defensive spam rotations for the purposes here, because that type of coordination just makes your team so much harder to pressure into and to push into, that you really see a lot of success. And I didn't actually intend for this to end on like a round reset that we got by being very good at holding last, but there you go. And now, you know, that's new mid fight definitely favors us as opposed to having to stay on last, right? Anyway, that's all from me, and yeah, see you guys next time.